Many thanks for making a date with me today on the marketplace. The Ghana Railway Workers Union is demanding a total revamp of the Western Rail lines with specific emphasis on the Kujokro-Mawaso stretch. The union says government has abandoned the project despite its importance to the railway company. The General Secretary of the union, Godwin Ntama, at a press briefing in Takoradi, lamented that workers have been denied their full remuneration as a result of declining operations and other logistical challenges. Here's more in this report.
According to the union, government has for the past 19 years failed to rehabilitate the Western Rail lines despite it being one major project under the Railway Development Project. The situation has affected not only transportation in the area but also effective revenue mobilization of the Ghana Rail Company Limited. Ghana Manganese Company Limited, the company's major clients of the Railway Company, has therefore threatened to cease haulage of manganese to the Takoradi ports effective December 31st, 2019 until further notice. General Secretary for the Ghana Railway Workers Union, Godwin Ntama, at a press briefing laments workers are denied their full remuneration package due to the declining operations on existing networks.
We have called you here today to update you on the challenges facing the Ghana Railway Company Limited. The government of Ghana, since assuming office in 2017, placed railway development on top priority. This position and other reports in the social media have made the general public feel that all is well with the railway industry. This is not wholly the case. The government has since coming into office undertaking the following initiatives in the Ghana Railway Company Limited. A. Rehabilitation of the old railway training school. B. Rehabilitation of 2 workshops at location. C. Purchase of ballast. D. Purchase of wooden slippers. The purchases of the ballast and the wooden slippers have ensured the ongoing rehabilitation of the existing old narrow gauge railway line by workers of the company with no machines, thereby making the work extremely difficult. On the 9th of December 2019, a letter received from Ghana Manganese Company indicated a temporary vacation of the operations of their company from 1st December to 31st December 2019.
And in response to demands of the Railway Workers Union, the Minister for Railways Development, Joe Gatti, says government is keen on revamping the Western Rail line. He disclosed this in an interview that some due diligence and technical assessments are being conducted to better inform the award of contract for the project. Commenting on the renovation contract with the Ghana National Garages Association, Mr. Gatti revealed that the decision was taken by the MD of Ghana Railway Company, Mr. Aviation, and that he believes the decision is in good faith for the company.
The Western Line is not only the bread and butter of the Ghana Railway Company Limited, in fact, it's the bread and butter of Ghana. If you look at the aluminium and bauxite industry that the president wants to establish, and he's established a public corporation, they are inviting investors and so on, they are saying that without gas and without railway, the project is not financially viable. So the situation is that we have to do it. They've given us a deadline of 2023 and we'll work towards that deadline. And so the railway workers must not worry. I mean, 1,000, less than 2,000 people. It is the whole Ghana who should be worried, and we should all make sure that the line has been done so that we can do our industry, which is $1 billion industry, which will transform this nation completely. I think that with regards to it was signed by the MD of the Ghana, so I think he is in a better position, very experienced man, an engineer. He's in a better position to show you the difference between that. And from what I understand from him, that does not mean that his own workers will not also continue refurbishing some of the coaches. If you look at the budget of this year, there's money in there for the Ghana Railway. Over the last 3 years, what has gone to Ghana Railway Company Limited in terms of budget is 105 million Ghana cedis. More, I mean, most of the budget of my ministry has gone to them. So, I mean, we shall continue to work with them, and also we work with others And also the question about salaries. I mean, their salaries used to be outstanding for 6 months. I mean, just now since I became minister, their salaries have been outstanding for 2 months. The next month they were paid booths. They call their MD double track now. This month they will be paid this month in December. And the social security issues and so on. And we are looking at it.
Let's also stay within the transport sector because Air Senegal has started commercial flight operations to Ghana with 4 direct flights between Accra and Dakar every week. Speaking at the inaugural ceremony, Minister for Aviation Kofi Adda said the move will improve connectivity on the continent. He reassured Ghana will operationalize its home-based carrier after parliamentary approval. Sheila Tamaklu has more.
At 5:30 a.m., the water cannon salute welcomed Air Senegal on its maiden flight to the Accra-Kotoka International Airport. Air Senegal replaces 2 of its predecessors, Air Senegal International, which ceased operations in 2009, and Senegal Airlines, which went bankrupt in 2016. The new airline, Air Senegal, is now expected to operate 4 scheduled flights between Accra and Dakar on weekly basis. Joseph Kofi Adda is the Minister for Aviation.
The past 2 or so years, Air Senegal that was flying to Ghana, one of I think for 2 or 3 years, they are coming back up again. So they hear signal to us that they're active. Ghana Airways has been down, Ghana Airlines off. You've heard so much about the home-based carrier. We're also on. We have gotten to the stage where we're now waiting for cabinet approval. Once that is done, I think we can also boast of being ready to fly to Dakar or any other part of Africa or the world. So it's important for Africa, it's important for Ghana. It's good to have a sister African country flying in this morning, meaning that the connectivity in the continent would improve.
According to the commercial manager for the airline, Hassan Sambi, Air Senegal's direct flights will drive competition to lower airfares.
Currently, we will be the only player by proposing a direct flight. And this is a real need for this country. So this is the first criteria. The second one is when we check the competition, price was extremely high. Sometimes it's going to Europe is less expensive than going to Africa, and this is nonsense. So that's why this is the game that we are trying to change.
Currently, the airline is commencing with 4 flights a week and hopes to expand to daily flights as passenger loads increase. For Joy Business, Sheila Tamaklo reporting.
And in another development, the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO, is looking at developing more routes to stimulate activity by airline operators in order to take full advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. According to the Regional Officer for Air Traffic Management of ICAO, Albert Taylor, the routes will enhance economic activity, especially for Ghana as host of the headquarters of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. He spoke at the regional workshop in Accra.
The Africa and Indian Ocean Performance-Based Navigation Route Lab and Continuous Climb, Continuous Descent Development and Implementation Workshop brought together stakeholders in the aviation space to discuss ways of maintaining and improving safety standards within Africa's airspace and airports. Speaking at the event, the International Civil Aviation Organization's Regional Officer for Air Traffic Management, Albert Taylor, noted there are plans to make infrastructure provisions for new routes to allow airlines take advantage of the anticipated increase in trade activity with the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement.
We anticipate that with the establishment of the free trade, the economic activities in the region will generally increase. And that increase would necessarily open up markets for those airlines or certain routes that are not currently operating to Ghana. So in addition to assessing what are the needs now, we also discuss how people should take the growing economic advantages and plan. Indeed, the airlines are here. They project, they look at economic markets, etc., and propose those routes they intend to fly so that we can build the infrastructure, as we call it, so that by the time they're ready, there will be routes for them to fly.
Meanwhile, Director General of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Engineer Simon Alute, assured that Ghana had 100% implementation of performance-based navigation approach at 5 of the nation's airports, which improves safety and efficiency for the airlines.
Most of the operators flying to our airspace use these procedures, and we've not only implemented in Accra, but we've implemented them at all airports in Ghana. Africa World flying to WA, for example, uses PBN procedures to fly to WA. You will notice that we haven't installed the traditional navigational systems like the VOR, DME, ILS at WA, but Africa World is able to fly. So you realize an additional benefit to the air navigation services provider in terms of infrastructure. It will be less because the ground-based systems are extremely expensive. One VOR DME is in the region of $1 million. So there's a lot of savings to the air navigation services provider. The airline also saves some reduction in fuel, less noise pollution, and the aerodrome operator also benefits.
For Joy Business, Sheila Tamaklo reporting.
Now, some Ghanaians across the diaspora continue to call on government to create a favorable environment for businesses to thrive. From amidst concerns, cost of living is high. During a recent visit, Charles IT has been engaging some Ghanaians who have set up their own businesses in the U.S. state of New Jersey and explores life in the U.S. from the experience of Ghanaians there.
Whichever parts of the world you travel to, there is always a time you would wish to have a taste of home food. Here in New York, I took a trip from the Bronx to Newark, a popular city in the U.S. state of New Jersey, to find myself the taste and feel of Ghana. This is a Dream International Market, a popular Ghanaian and West African supermarket where you get to enjoy everything local, from the earthenware or asanka we use to serve our fufu to tubers of yams. One can find everything Ghanaian, breakfast to dinner. I've come here to meet James Kenkofi, the manager of this local supermarket, who has been in the States since 1978. But just before our interview, I was given a local treat with a bowl of fufu and banku with good light soup and some okra. Alright, so this is what I got for myself, a bowl of fufu and that of, I think, banku or so. And it's all made in Ghana. A tray of local dish is likely to go for at least $15.
My goal was for us to be able to bring more of our product to America. Basically, when the yam gets here, anybody involved in the whole production of yam helps our country. First of all, this was not my profession, but after 40 years in America, I thought of being able to help our economy by bringing our product into the market.
You said this wasn't your profession, so what exactly was your profession?
Nuclear medicine by profession.
Oh, wow.
I worked for most hospitals for over 26 years before I wanted to build my own business.
Newark is home to many Ghanaian families. I caught up with some of them who try to compare the cost of living in the U.S. and Ghana.
Yes, you spend much because everything that you do, like for instance, majority of the people, if you're not renting houses or if you live in your own house, you don't have to pay for rent, but you have to pay for cost of living, whereby your electricity bill, water bill, and probably groceries. But here you pay for everything, whereby pay for parking, pay for rent, light bill, water bill, whatever bill it is. It's just a lot of money, and sometimes when you go to work, you get your paycheck, it doesn't add up because you got to use it to pay bills.
It's been good. Like you work and then you get paid. So once you have money, you're able to take care of things. Whatever you want to get, you're able to get it. And that's what life is supposed to be.
How is the cost of living here? A day, how much do you spend?
I don't spend that much a day. When I come to Ghana, I've been like, okay, I spend $100 a week, 5 days, and I'm there for 1 month, and I have to spend $400, almost $500 for a whole month. compared to over here, and we all buy the same fuel, like per gallon, or no, not per gallon, like per barrel in the international world.
As Ghana marks the year of return, James Ken Kofi argued that the entire initiative will be defeated if government does not, in his words, clean up the economic mess first.
If you want somebody to come to your house, you better straighten up your house and make sure that the house looks good.
How do we straighten up?
Well, listen, it's not the government, it's us. Okay, we need to be involved in preparation. They are not coming to the government's house, they are coming to our house. So there's more money to be made if we really, prepare ourselves with the roads, with the streets. There's so much.
Based on interaction that I've had with most of the Ghanaians based here at Newark, New Jersey, it's quite clear they want better conditions of service, better living standards way back home in Ghana, and they are just calling for governments to be very much proactive in making the economy a very much successful one. I'm Charles Ayete reporting for Joy Business.
And back here in Accra, CEO of MTN Ghana, Selom Adadevo, has downplayed concerns of universal banks that mobile money services are taking over some functions. To these assertions, mobile money has rather mobilized significant funds for the banking sector as well as play complementary roles to some financial institutions. He was speaking in an interview at the climax of MTN Momo at 10 celebrations in Accra.
MTN Mobile Money Service, also known as Momo, began 10 years ago when the telecom giants ventured into the area of using the mobile phone as a tool to undertake financial transactions. With less than 100,000 subscribers after its launch, Momo currently has a registered subscriber base of 14 million after the 10-year period. The rapid rate of transformation has raised some concerns, with MTN transcending the roles of traditional banks. CEO of MTN, Selom Adadevo, however, debunks this assertion.
We actually see mobile money as a complementary service to traditional banking. Today you can transfer money from your bank account into your mobile money wallet, but also all the services we offer like insurance, loans are all backed by banks. So we're actually helping the banks to move from solely traditional banking into new age banking using our platform as the interface. However, all the funds continue to sit with the bank, and we provide a lot of opportunity to banks that are seeking to be more modern and to be more digital, using our platform to accelerate and serve the customers in this way.
Some key stakeholders, including pioneering staff, distributors, regulators, partner banks, merchants, agents and customers were recognized for the immense support over the past decade. Deputy Communications Minister George Anda and former CEO of MTN, Ebenezer Asante, were also honored. General Manager of Mobile Money Limited of MTN Ghana, Elihini, outlined the future of MTN's mobile money. The Finance Minister, Ken Oforiatta, was represented by Acting Director of the Financial Sector Division of the Ministry, Samson Akligo.
Branchless banking guidelines, that was what you started with. Then along the way, we came with the Electronic Money Issuers Guidelines. Today, we have the Payment System and Services Act. It tells you that the regulatory environment itself is evolving. And I'm sure that we would evolve beyond PSSA in the next future, if at some point we think something else is needed to transform the business. But today, where we are, it addresses majority of the issues that will drive the business to the next level.
MTN Momo has partnered several organizations to roll out key social empowerment projects over the decade, including helping digitize the agricultural value chain.
Now, the Ministry of Trade and the Ministry of Agriculture are constructing a rice processing factory each in Fumbisi in the Upper East region to absorb rice produced by local farmers in the next season. Speaking at a press conference held at the Ministry of Agric, the District Chief Executive of Bursa South, Daniel Garba, disclosed that the government plans to curb rice glut in the near future while providing jobs for the youth. Fred Jiho was there for Joy Business.
As As government and the public intensify campaign for Ghana rice consumption, the Ministry of Agriculture says it is in strategic talks with rice millers and some 5 commercial banks to boost production to meet local demand. So far, Avnash and Wienco have partnered with government to buy paddy rice directly from farmers to increase production. According to the Chief Executive Officer of the National Food Buffer Stock Company, Hanan Abdul Wahab, he indicated that the Ministry of Agriculture and all stakeholders in the rice production value chain have signed an MOU with rice millers, importers, and some commercial banks.
After a series of meetings, discussions, and negotiations, I am happy to report as follows. 1. Rice millers and marketers have indicated their readiness to sign an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding. 2. Commercial banks want the government to come in with a stimulus package as being implemented under the 1D, 1F model. In the short term, millers need about 30 million Ghana cedis to mop up all paddy rice in the fields.
He indicated that the price for buying paddy rice have increased to 1 Ghana cedis 30 pesos from 1 Ghana cedi 11 pesos to motivate farmers to sell their rice.
A minimum guarantee price has been fixed. A kilogram of paddy rice has been adjusted upward from a current amount of 1 cedis 11 pesos to 1 cedis 30 pesos. This will mean that 180 kilograms of paddy currently sold at 200 Ghana cedis will now go for 234 Ghana cedis. This 0.19 pesos increment by Post-Harvest Committee was arrived at based on a crop budget analysis of this farming year. The Post-Harvest Committee is made up of representatives of rice farmers, importers, rice millers, and the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, among other stakeholders.
The DCE for Wilsa South, Daniel Gariba, revealed that government is making the necessary efforts to establish 2 rice processing factories in the northern region to absorb rice produce in the next crop season.
To make sure that we make use of the paddy rice produced in the district, 2 factories are in the offing, one to be constructed by MOTI, Minister of Trade and Industry, under the Rural Enterprise Project. This rice factory will be managed by unemployed graduates within the district. And so it is solving the rice problem which is being faced by the farmers, at the same time providing jobs for our unemployed graduates.
According to the CEO of the National Food and Buffer Stock Company, all second cycle institutions will from next academic year consume locally produced rice. Fred Duho's report for Joy Business.
And that's it for the marketplace today. Many thanks for watching. My name is Emmanuel Abwaji. Have a good afternoon.